Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Why, hello, and welcome to the 3rd of July. Do you remember when Sophie Masloff was mayor, didn't she?
Yeah, that was before my time.
Sophie mandated at one point that the fireworks be put off, blasted off. What do you do with fireworks? Set them off. Were to be set off on the 3rd of July.
And what was her brilliant logic?
The brilliant logic was the 3rd of July is not a national holiday. Consequently, the police did not have to be paid.
Oh.
It was smart.
Well, a lot of people have said over the years, because as I say, it was prior to my coming to Pittsburgh, but for all of her dithery lunacy, there were a number of things she did that
good
were
stuff.
That were smart.
She was smart.
Now, was that her own term, or did she fill out someone else's?
Well, she became mayor in the same manner that Ravenstall became mayor.
Okay.
She was president of the city council, and the sitting mayor died.
Okay.
In her case, it was Caligiuri.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
And then she ascended to the mayoralty.
And
then she ran for re-election on her own. And no one thought the city would elect her. But all these guys jumped in, big guys jumped into the race.
Oh, and it just split all
They split the vote all over the place, and she prevailed.
Well, that was the case with, what's his name? Ravenstall, in terms of his presidency of city council. That's how he got that, because they split.
That's exactly right. So it's, politicians invariably hoist on their own petard. What exactly is a petard?
I don't know. When you were saying that, I'm not sure.
I think it has to do with a ship. But maybe that's just because when I hear the word hoist.
Hoisted. Yeah, it has to be.
But can things be hoisted? No, you can hoist a flag. So it's a petard is like a sword or something.
Somehow rings.
Yeah, that's right. We don't know. We're just...
So if any of you are petard experts, and I'm sure there's one.
And I'm sure I've asked the question before.
Ray may know. Ray, if you're out there, you probably know what a petard is.
Yes, and if he doesn't, he can look it up. We are in no position to do so, since we are supposed to be hosting a program here.
Spontaneous.
Spontaneous.
And sparkling.
Yes. And I failed to introduce my co-pilot here. That would be Tom Sokolowski.
Well, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning to you. So, I saw my first furry.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Have you seen any today?
Just in the newspaper.
No,
they're on the street.
And finally they got good weather, because the humidity's going away.
That's right. Yeah, no, it's so
and
nice
I mean, they always come in the middle of the summer. Is it always July 4th weekend?
That I don't know.
But they always come in the middle of the summer. And they put on those,
furry, nasty.
You would think they would hold their convention in, Nome, Alaska or something.
Right.
I mean, what do you...
Well, the one thing, it's not to my taste necessarily, but the one thing I do respect is that they've said, it's been the last number of years, that I guess the first time that they had their convention here, and like many national or maybe it's international organization, I don't know, it moves when you have these conventions.
Yeah. But
They felt they had such a good reception here that they will forever, or at least in our
It's
times,
been for the last
6 or 7 years.
They came here and were so blown away by not only the beauty of our city, but also
the
by
narcolepsy of the citizenry, who didn't sort of take to them and
Yeah, nobody freaked. And I guess they've had like a lot of bad kind of maybe receptions before, people, ridiculing them because whatever. I mean, we were curious, and I must admit, snickered a bit.
Oh, yes. I mean, it is
initially
peculiar, especially. I mean, the ones I like the best aren't the ones who are in total.
No, it's the ones that all of a sudden will have a tail with a tail coming out of their back.
One of the people in my garage this morning said, they have sex in those costumes. And I said, oh, thank you for sharing that at 8:45 in the morning, having not had my coffee.
Well, that's one of the things, and they're very adamant that this is not some sexual, weird perversion of some sort.
But with some, I think it is.
I think with some it is. I think with others, it's a way to
let loose.
Yeah, to take on an entirely different persona, and you'll hear a lot when I think in the article in the paper today said the same thing, that a lot of the people inside those animal outfits are really very meek, sort of meek, shy, and it's you often hear that same thing for people who are clowns.
Exactly.
That by nature they're very,
Sure, they yeah.
And the minute they're behind a mask, they
bloom. Well, there's a play on Broadway right now, which I haven't seen, but it's gotten great reviews by Harvey Firestein.
Yes,
the man who did.
yeah.
And it's all about heterosexual men, like truck drivers and firemen and that, who go away for weekends or weeks on our holiday
and dressed as
women, and not pretty women, but they
just
all
want
look
to
like
have the stuff on.
The women's committee at the Museum of Art. Oh, we'll get some calls about that. In their sensible low-heeled shoes and their.
So it's not the usual.
No, they're not pretty.
Drag queen.
No,
stuff.
No.
No, it's just I want to wear women's clothes.
Right. Well, it's interesting. I've noticed over the years that the ones one thinks about do have the bunny aspect, but some have costumes. I think, well, now what does that have to do with a Furby? I mean, there are costumes that are not necessarily furry, but they're costumes. So I guess there's a range.
Well, I think you can have cartoon characters.
Oh, maybe that's true. So you can be Captain Marvel or something.
I don't know. I don't really see that. It does seem like fur is usually part
Panda bear and.
Well, I don't know, and they're all over the place, and they're back.
Yes, with all of it, I mean, we do have serious journalists here and other sorts of things. I've never seen in all this. It's usually just the sort of aren't they funny? And according to the paper,
I think when they first started,
but no one has really sort of asked, why do you do this? And tell us.
Well, I think people have, yeah.
Really?
I just think you're not remembering.
Well, maybe you're right.
Because it's the obvious question. What the hell's going on with you guys?
Well, but you can ask it that way, and then let's now go to the weather.
No, I think there have been
sit down with Charlie Rose and
Yeah, right. But whatever. Anyway, they're here, and they're some of them are just pretty fascinating.
So go and rub up against a bunny bear in the street.
Okay. I just might.
Oh, good.
I just might.
Well, it might be a curative thing for your wing.
For my wing, yeah.
That's it. You should festoon for this weekend a sort of wing with feathers that you can sort of.
But I can't. Away. That's the thing. I can't.
So then you'd be the injured bird. They
right.
want to take care of you.
Oh, right. Bring me to the aviary.
Or to that empty eaglet's nest.
Yeah.
You can get up there and have a little nip. Because they're all gone, aren't they?
They are gone.
Oh, dear.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Life goes on.
Life goes
on. Animal world.
Bill writes, Lynn, hi. Forgot the rationale offhand, but a study of July 2nd, 1776 shows that July 2nd was the day of an actual congressional declaration of independence. I think the 4th has more to do with the famous document.
But I would think the signing of it would be the moment of declaration.
Well, but you can see they might have had to pass the bill saying, and here's what we're going to say, and then we did it on July 2nd, and then a scribe had to write out a bunch of copies.
Oh, very good. Well, thank you, Bill.
And that might
astute.
Be. So Sophie was totally ahead of the curve and all of that. Yeah.
Nothing is named after her, by the way, is it? They've named things after.
No. I came upon a piece I wrote for the Post-Gazette in 87 or 86, and it was when they came up with this initiative to raise taxes here so that we could pull down Three Rivers and build the Steelers a new stadium and build the Pirates a new stadium.
Okay.
It was called the Regional Renaissance Initiative.
No. That was before. No. Because that was 96. It was when I was here already. And there was the vote. And
96. You are correct.
Thank you, my dear.
Anyway,
I remember that.
I was very, very, very vociferous.
On which side?
On the not.
Oh, not. Mm-hmm.
I was with the citizenry on this
one.
one.
I was pro. But,
well, of course you were, because you were the establishment. And I was saying...
Who has the radio waves?
I have to tell you, it was so brilliant what I wrote. And
thank you very much.
I read it last night, and I thought, geez, you're brilliant. I should have brought it in.
And delusional. The wounded winged one is delusional.
It was brilliant.
So did you bring it in to read to us?
No, but I will if you want.
No. Well, you won. I mean, it didn't pass.
Oh, yeah, we won, but then they just did it anyway, if you'll recall.
No, that's true. But the monies were slightly different.
Yeah,
because it was supposed to be a bond issue.
I don't remember, but it was going to happen since the powers that be.
Well, no, fair enough.
The people were up against every major power,
right,
and institution in the city.
He was very fond. I am very, very fond of and respect, and I think he did a great job, Tom Murphy. But when it came to the sports people, he was just. He had a deaf ear. I mean...
What do you mean? Anything they wanted?
Yeah, anything
but
they wanted,
is this still the
got.
Case? Pretty much. It's still the case.
Well, but have they...
Well, I was pointing out,
about
they were saying we'll be a third-class city.
Yeah, I remember
They
that.
will leave and we'll be a third-class city. You cannot have... a with-it city, a growing city. This will bring jobs.
But we ain't got no basketball teams.
Yeah, and you know what? I pointed out, I said, check at what's the most economically popping cities are right now in this country, where jobs and bang, and it's exciting, and young people. And I started naming them. And it was stuff like Charlotte. And I can't remember. But whatever they were, were cities, none of which had even one damn professional team. Then I said, now let's look at cities that are struggling right now. Detroit, Cleveland, Milwaukee, blah, blah, blah. All cities with major league sports teams. I mean, they were just, the arguments they were throwing out were so full of shit.
Isn't that funny, though, that don't you think part of that in terms of Pittsburgh, this was prior to my time here, though, but was that people felt, at least with the Steelers, that when the wholesale fandango collapsed, it was that those years of the what was it called, the Immaculate Reception and that kept the city and the people from being totally devastated by all of this.
Yes, I mean the Steelers. I cannot, in my wildest dreams, think that the Steelers would ever have left.
No, true,
and absolutely not. Now the Pirates, maybe, but Anyway, back to petards. Ray says, "Lynn, I'm hurt that you think I Google this stuff." A petard is a bomb.
Oh dear, means to be blown up by your own plot.
It means, okay, so your plot, it's like these guys, suicide bombers who are happily making their suicide bomb, and then it blows up
in the
wrong place.
Oh, my goodness. Well, thank you, Ray.
Means injured by a device that you intended to use to injure others.
So I'm looking at a suicide bomber where it blows up when he's in the toilet as opposed to on the bus.
Right, whatever.
Or something like
that. Right.
But hoist with your own petard. Well, go to the origin. I'm curious. It must have been some sort of, no, down.
What do you mean down?
Well, the second
that
paragraph.
Is down.
No, wait.
Right here.
Okay.
The phrase hoist with one's own petard is often cited as hoist by one's own petard. Well, what do you mean? That's exactly the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
The two forms show me a difference.
I see petard versus petard. No? Well, whatever.
No, the two forms mean the same, although the former is strictly a more accurate version of the original source. What is the original source is what we want to know. A petard rather was, they have long since fallen out of use, a small engine of war used to blow breaches in gates or walls. They were originally metallic and bell-shaped, but later cubical wooden boxes. Basically, they're a bomb. The device was used by military forces in the 16th century in French and English. Petard or petardo in Spanish. Okay.
Squib. That's another word. A squib or petard.
The French have the word péter, which is to fart.
Okay.
Which it's hard to imagine is unrelated. The prayers of the saints ascending with you will petard your entrances through the heavens portcullis. For 'tis the sport to have the engineer hoist with his own petard. So that's it. Yes. I don't know what else. So now we all know, and you know what? I'll totally forget. And in 4 or 5 years, I'll be sitting here and I'll say, hoist with your own petard.
No,
What's
you remember, I think.
I don't know. I say, okay. So.
I have a few people who I'd like to hoist with their own petard. But.
Well, it often happens.
No, sure, exactly.
And there's always something delicious about that if somebody is intending to.
Well, especially if, in my example of saying, if you were a suicide bomber rather than killing 150 people, you just blow your own.
Hey, speaking of Steelers and football, so I get in the mail.
Yes.
Yesterday at my home.
You know, one of my favorite subjects.
My mail?
No, the football.
I know. And here it comes from Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Oh, they want you to buy season tickets?
No, here I have 4 tickets right here.
Oh, coupons.
I'm allowed 4 tickets to the upcoming shareholders meeting.
Now, how are you a shareholder?
I am a shareholder. I own stock.
Really? Why?
The Packers are the only team that are like this.
I see.
Packers have no owner.
So does that? Oh, so it's like a publicly owned company?
The Packers have no owner.
Really? How interesting.
So, and we don't get these stocks. You don't get any dividends. You don't get anything.
Well, then why do you have them?
Because you care about your team, and you have them so that your team will stay.
But now, let's say I wanted to buy some shares if they were available.
I don't think they are.
Oh. But would they be more? Well, but let's say if you die or something and you didn't bequeath them to your progeny.
Yes, you could have mine. I mean,
No. But I mean, let's say you die, whatever. But could I? But they would be. I'd pay more today than whatever you paid years ago.
But they don't sell them all the time.
Oh, I see. But now, as a shareholder, though, wait. I'm just thinking in terms of other shareholders. Could you, if enough of you got together, vote? Let's say, to send the team on a different kind of direction, or say, get rid of that.
No, because the shareholders' biggest job is what is going to happen if I were to take this ticket and go.
Mm-hmm.
The meeting is held, not surprisingly,
in Green Bay.
at the football stadium.
Yes, okay.
So you go into the football stadium, and instead of
thousands of people.
And the big job is that we elect the board of directors. And the shareholders elect the board of directors, and then the board of directors chooses the general manager. And so,
but I mean, in standard ways, the shareholders, they can vote out a CEO
absolutely.
or a board of directors person.
Absolutely. And I was looking at who was up and who was... And what's so cute about this is here's George Kerwin, who I went to high school with.
Ooh.
And here's Elizabeth Trowbridge. I know her mom. I knew her mom. And here's a guy named Olenichek, who must be the son of a former mayor. And so you know these people, Tom Lutzy. Jeez, Tom Lutzy and I
went to second base.
No, we double dated with Susie Lombardi. And
do you know what they say about Susie Lombardi?
Oh God, Vince Lombardi, you've heard of?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, his daughter. And I think Lutzy was out with Suze, and I can't even remember who my. So these are all a lot of local yokels are on that
nice
on that board. It's wonderful. Nothing better. And I'm proud. Now, I can vote by proxy, which I will do. And
now, are all members of your family shareholders?
Yes.
How nice.
And I think these were the original. Our shares are the original shares. These are the ones that were first put out, I think, in the 30s or 40s, when the Packers had to have.
So these
some
are
infusion
grandparent shares that then went to.
I think it's my long gone uncle's shares.
I see.
Yeah. So whatever. Anyway, and originally, my understanding is that if the team were sold, the beneficiary of the sale was a Veterans of Foreign War post in the Green Bay area.
Wow.
Can you imagine a VFW?
All of a sudden getting $400 million.
Billions of dollars.
I suppose, yeah.
So relatively recently, that was altered so that now they got sort of fancier lawyers, and now there's like foundations and But it is somewhat of a nonprofit. I believe it's just totally different. Anyway, the NFL has said no other team can organize like this. No, they don't want it. But so that makes
that's too bad because some of these owners and that, and
they're so awful. I know, and we don't have one. It's so nice we don't have an owner.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
In a sense, it takes it. What I've always said, even though I'm not a sports aficionado, but it takes the whole fun, athleticism, etc., out of sports and makes it into big business. And hence all these awful things that happen, both in terms of management and players. So did you watch although we spoke to teeny bit about this last time.
No.
Soccer?
No. Did you?
It's not American enough?
No, I'm just not interested. I'm not interested.
Papers, but I didn't watch it.
I'm not interested. I'm sorry. I can't get into it. I have enough ways to waste my time. And
we'll waste them with an internationally recognized sport.
Okay, we got to take a break. I suppose we could talk about something serious when we get back. It is conceivable that we shall. After this.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
Download the brand new CP Haps app and find out what's going on in Pittsburgh. It's the fun and free app that puts the most popular events at your fingertips. Text events to 77948 to download now and register to win 4 Kennywood tickets and 4 Sandcastle tickets. The CP Haps app, brought to you by Pittsburgh City Paper.
Hey, Billy, want to go to the state fair?
Yeah!
Well, you can't. Well, you see, Billy, when you throw away money on wasted electricity, you throw away everything you could have done with it. But now your parents are becoming energy efficient. They could save hundreds of dollars a year and take you to the fair next year.
I want to go now.
I know you do. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
Like Abby Miller.
I just want to, and I was so sorry to see this obit in the paper today. I want to note the passing of a good man in this city. He is a doctor, Morris Turner, OBGYN, and I know him because I moved. I live on the same street, and so to me he's a neighbor. But what I've understood about him over the years is this is a guy who, he's one of those stories of, born in some hole in the wall in rural Georgia, poor as heck, parents sharecroppers. He was schooled at the what do they say here? The Barley Colored Elementary School, which was a shack. And when he would, get some school in there, and then he would have to go into the cotton fields and pick cotton and pick tobacco. His family couldn't afford the 10-cent lunches at the school. I mean, he was poor, but he was smart. And by the age of 16, he full scholarship, 16, studying at Morehouse in Atlanta. And from there, he just kept on a-going. And one of the things that he did know was that he saw in the poverty he lived in, he saw a lot of medical nightmares. And he also saw a lot of death of women in childbirth, but also women trying to terminate an unwanted abortion.
And doing it.
Right. And this is before it became legal. And his wife is quoted in the Obit as saying his mission was to stop women from bleeding to death. That's so this is a OBGYN, nice guy.
And how long was he in the Pittsburgh area?
Well, I think he graduated from Pitt Medical School.
Oh, okay.
And he immediately became, in 1973, one of the first abortion providers in Pittsburgh. And, of course, this meant that he was on the receiving end of, you can only imagine.
Vicious bile.
And I encountered a teeny bit of what he suffered. The day, this is so odd, the day I moved into my house on that street, and this would be 20 years ago, I'm literally moving in. We're, friends and us, we're moving stuff in and out, and I'm up in my new bedroom and sort of unpacking boxes, and I hear this, chanting and anger at voices. And this is a little, you've been at my house. It's a little you called it a cul-de-sac the other day. It was a dead end. It's a dead end. And I look out the window, and in front of my house are a bunch of
protesting,
right-to-life types holding all kinds of signs saying your neighbor's a murderer and stuff like that, and carrying. And I went, as you can only imagine.
Yes. You're demure.
I went tearing down the stairs, out the front door, and I said, "Get the hell out of here!" I was just beside myself. I felt so violated. And one of them starts taking my picture, and I was just screaming and screaming, and I feel a hand on my shoulder, and I turn, and there's a man I don't know, and he said, "Lynn," he must recognize me. He said, recognize the screaming voice. He said, "Lynn, this happens. The target is one of the other neighbors, Dr. Turner, over here. But this is their effort to try to get the neighborhood to turn on him." And he said, "The best way for you to deal with this is pay them no attention."
Sure, right, exactly.
All right, so against my better judgment, I zipped my lip and went inside. Amazingly, there was never another one on the street that I know of. But Dr. Turner's dealt with this stuff over and over and over and over and over again. And in January of 1994, there was a horrific blizzard here. 3 feet of snow, and no cars on the road, nothing's plowed, and he had a woman in labor at McGee. He walked.
Oh, my goodness.
And that was written up that was written up in the paper. He put on his boots and took off and walked. So He's way too
Rest in peace.
65 years old. He was
young man.
He was playing tennis. At least he went bang
and doing something that was pleasurable
arrest. He
to
was
him.
such a nice man.
Well, that brings to mind. I was thinking about that coming here today because going home, wondering whether they, especially with the Furries and everything else, whether the energy because of the ruling by the Supreme Court, there'll be more protests on Liberty Avenue.
There very well maybe. Yeah.
I'd have to bring like a jug of some effluvia and throw it at them.
Well,
I went through a bagel at them. I'd gone to the bagel store, and I sort of was delayed because of the traffic. And they started screaming, and I took out a bagel and lobbed it at one of them.
Well, I don't know. So he was the medical director for McGee's outreach sites in Wilkinsburg and Monroeville, medical director for Adagio Health, chief of service for obstetrics and gynecology at McKeesport Hospital. He'd been way out front and center to serving underserved communities and, somebody's quoted here saying he spent his entire career trying to do away with healthcare disparities.
Amazing.
Morris Turner, good man, and my heart goes out to his big, beautiful family. Damn it. So that was really, how when you're paging through the Obits and bang, something hits you and you think, oh my God.
Well, I remember that happened to a friend here who was in a cycling accident and died. But it's something because it's so final.
Final and
then
unexpected.
It's like, oh my God, I can
gone.
never talk to him
yeah,
again.
It's gone. Okay. Okay, here's one more thing. And I don't know where this is going to go, but I have to share my feelings with you about, I try not to watch the news, local or national, because it makes me crazy. Because every time let's say I know a big story is broken locally, and I think, geez, I better, turn on the news. I turn on the news so I can see. And then instead they lead with a fire somewhere, or, and I'm thinking, what are you doing? The lead story, blah, 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 blah. And then the next story is a shooting. And then the next story, it's just this.
The Furbies are in town.
Right. So it drives me crazy. So anyway, I happened to turn the news on, and I think it was at 5:30 last night, and it was Channel 11. And it was the police blotter. It was just one after the other. But what struck me, and I can't be the only one that this struck, whether consciously or subliminally, every shot of video was of a black male in handcuffs. So this was the news we were to learn. This guy, charged with murder. This guy charged with murder. And I'm thinking, it went on seemingly
10 iterations or
it
whatever.
was just beyond belief. And first of all, it was depressing as hell.
Yeah, right.
Secondly, it's reinforcing every white fear of black men. And then I thought, but wait a minute. The anchor who's introducing this story is a black woman. The reporter who's reporting the story is a black woman. And I'm wondering if the racists, the people who don't think they are, but who are,
right,
when they're watching the news like that and they're seeing...
Do they see both sides? Like, here's the criminality.
I don't think... Okay, yeah. Like, look at these black people. Look at these black people. And they don't see... I mean, if it were whites, okay, let's make it a white anchor, and we're looking at white men in handcuffs. Do you think... You would think, geez, white people are...
violent and criminal.
No, you wouldn't. So it started. It made me. First of all, I wondered how the black anchors and the black reporters feel about introducing these stories. They must
Although,
just
on the one level, I'd be just being devil's advocate for a bit of it. I mean, I completely understand what you're saying, and you're absolutely right. However, if one just looks statistically, not saying like what are the reasons, but statistically in America, the preponderance of criminality is African American, and in other parts of the country, Hispanic as well, because of the socioeconomic situation.
Exactly.
So that on one level, to say that there were these 7 black gentlemen, tied up and were being arraigned or whatever, that shouldn't be shocking. Because, I mean, statistically, it is what it is. Now, to say, well, why, what is the cause, and how can we stop this, and, whatever, but...
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I just really think that you wonder where people get this fear, this unbelievable fear. Well, if people watch the nightly news, they are going to be afraid of black men. Sure. And maybe even black
But there was
women.
something on one of these shows not terribly long
And they're
ago.
not going to notice that half the people who are delivering the news are black.
Well, but on that same sort of level, there was something, I forget where it was, some serious TV program, and they were talking to African-American people of some renown, business or sports or entertainment or what have you, and they talked about the fact that they were frightened. Like if they would see a young black kid with a hoodie in Los Angeles come up to them, they were frightened. So, I mean, that's the point of sort of maybe a leveling factor, which is to recognize sort of what is. Now, the next step would be, well, if you're in a position either as a journalist or someone with money or someone of influence, then what do you do to mitigate such circumstances?
Well, when news organizations don't take their mission seriously enough, and so all they do is just give you literally the tiniest surface of a story, and they don't contextualize it at all, then you are not going to be informed. In fact, you're going to be ultimately misinformed. So,
well, do you think that's really true? I mean...
Yeah, because if you don't have any nuance, any context,
No, sure, but I was just thinking...
you jump to all the wrong conclusions.
All right, someone's poor, someone didn't have a complete family growing up, blah, 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 has turned into crime because of gangland, whatever.
Yeah, but let me just say
that. But still, the kid who shoots and kills a younger child, that is what it is. I mean, that is news and that is horrific.
Okay, we have a caller.
Over and above like how it got there, but still,
that
is...
We have a caller. I'm up. Right. Hello?
Yeah, I got a question for you guys. It's a little bit off what you're talking about. But I can't believe this. You got President Obama in there. In 6 years, he was dealt a bad hand when he... And what I'm trying to say is, why is his popularity so bad when the guy did a pretty hell of a good job?
Well, the popularity is so bad.
What's wrong with people? If they see the mess the guy was left and he clears it up, we got 6.1 unemployment now. Things are getting better, but the bastards still... I mean, this is how the voters we have.
That's right.
Dumbasses.
No, I'm not going to disagree with you at all, but it also, again, shows how media let down the public, because all they do is focus on the petty little crap, the everything is always a crisis. We're uninformed. The idea that this poll came out and Obama is being judged as the worst president since World War II.
I couldn't believe it.
Well, it's laughable. Okay?
Yeah, it is.
And it is. It's an indictment of, I would think, media and the American people and their ability. First of all, half of them can't even name the president since World War II.
Yeah, right. Well, it's interesting. What we were talking about before we got on the air was this same thing in media. last night about that town in California.
I want to get there, but I don't want to get into it that way. Okay, we'll do it. But thank you. Yes, it's
okay.
Maddening. I agree.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Yeah, you too. Yeah. Okay.
Where did this poll appear? I didn't hear
this
that.
when I first heard it, I thought, oh, this must be some poll out of God. No, it's a Quinnipiac poll.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And asking Americans, I guess, to rank the best presidents since World War II and the worst. And I guess Obama comes out the worst. Worse. It's just mind-boggling. And the best, who do you think?
Eisenhower. Bush, probably. No? Who?
Ronald Reagan.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about him.
Yeah, you forgot about him. Ronald Reagan was 1, and Bill Clinton was 2.
Isn't that interesting?
But here's what I think.
2,
because those
absolutely.
are these 2 larger-than-life personalities.
True. Right. Yeah, exactly.
And Obama is the guy who's in there now. And so he's given no credit at all as you look around and the news media tells you the world's coming to
we think our
end and
times
everything's
are worse
right.
than anyone
Yeah, and
else's
Obama
times,
can't get anything done because of this jerk Republican Congress he has to deal with.
Where did
I
Johnson
loved when he
fit?
said, I can't, I don't know. Well, we'd have to look it up.
Yeah,
I don't know. Ridiculous. Just friggin' ridiculous. All right. Pisses me off. We're going to take a break.
All right.
And when we come back, yes, I do want to talk about the ugly Americans in California. This horrific scene of Americans, their faces contorted with hate and fear,
children on a bus.
Screaming at terrified young refugees. I would like to talk about that.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen Live after this.
Babies come with lots of decisions.
Cloth or disposable? Crib or bassinet?
So when it comes to protection, go with the safest, most effective choice, vaccination. Get all the recommended vaccines for your baby by age 2 to protect your child against 14 serious childhood diseases. For more reasons to vaccinate, talk to your child's doctor. Go to cdc.gov/vaccines or call 800-CDC-INFO. A message from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Download the brand new CP Haps app and find out what's going on in Pittsburgh. It's the fun and free app that puts the most popular events at your fingertips. Text events to 77948 to download now and register to win 4 Kennywood tickets and 4 Sandcastle tickets. The CP Haps app, brought to you by Pittsburgh City Paper.
You're listening to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Once again, here's Lynn Cullen.
Whatever, my neighborhood.
All righty, so we're
back.
We're back, and talking about this wave of young children coming. They represent, those children. Let's just be clear about this. A human migration, which creates a human, a crisis. A crisis for people to respond to in a humane way. No?
Wait, say that again?
Children.
Oh, yeah.
Children.
Right.
You think they're on a lark coming here?
No. And parents willing to perhaps never
let
see
them
their
go
kids
or never.
again, or the kids be lost or molested
what
or
are
what
they
have you.
thinking?
No.
Anyway. We can argue till we're blue in the face that we don't need any more people or this isn't the right way to do it or blah, blah, blah. But there are thousands of children crossing deserts.
It's sort of like our Underground Railroad in a funny way.
It's if you can't recognize this for what it is, which is something that if you have a heart, you run toward to help, to ameliorate, to do something, that these people in that town, what the hell town was that in California?
Murrieta or something.
Never
like
heard
a woman's
of it.
name, I think.
That they would surround these buses with these terrified people on them, and many of them children. and scream at them. And I could hear that chant that drives me crazy at football and baseball and soccer games. As if the name of our country was a
mantra.
No, it was more like a cudgel.
Yeah, cudgel, right.
USA, as if you say it with your finger in the air.
Well, and the thing that to me was also the most interesting was the fact of them doing this and getting the buses to go. This community didn't give a damn that they were going to another city to be
but they
processed.
kept them out of theirs.
Well, that's it. Yeah, no, that's it. It's almost not like, well, our country has to
unfortunately,
go this pestilence. But we're a nice little city. Send them to that crappy little city. Yeah.
But here's the other thing. Once something like that is done and is shown, the yahoos in every city will start coming out. Hey, see, that worked. Let's get...
Yeah.
And...
Send them to Louisiana.
It's just...
it's horrible. It's monstrous.
Believable. Unbelievable. And I understand it's a huge problem. And it's a problem that needs to be addressed. Can we address it? Apparently not, because this comes under the heading of immigration reform.
Right.
And the Republicans, John Boehner has already informed us, we ain't doing anything with that. Like, why should he do anything with that? I mean, and the president has said, I can't get anything. I can do what I can do, but I can't, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know what the...
Well, the other thing that
we have no government.
Well, the other thing I found rather interesting in this story was the fact that once these people, and mostly children, were processed, they said, my aunt lives in Green Bay.
Yeah, they
would do whatever. Well, but from the way I understood it, it wasn't like an adult, took these kids. It was sort of like, hey, kid, here's $100, buy a ticket to Green Bay, and there you go. So who knows what could happen to this kid on the way? They're little shits, some of these kids. And that's frightening as well. I mean, because if indeed there's family, have the family come and pick the child up or what have you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, Ray has an interesting point about what I saw in the news. He said, you didn't see black men in handcuffs, you saw poor men in handcuffs. The disparity in income creates a disparity in crime. That's our national cancer.
That's absolutely true.
Well, I think that is true.
I'm
telling you, they were all black. Yeah. And I don't know what it is. Because I guess you're right. They do sometimes some of these perps that we have to look at, considered the most important story you're always supposed to know, are often white, yes, and we're shown them too. But I'm talking about this constant sort of underscoring of the racist memes in America's consciousness, and television news and local television news more than any other force has really not. I remember arguing this when I was a reporter, because the cops called the station and said, "Hey, we're doing a big drug bust. You want to ride along?" Well, the station goes nuts. Oh, God, we're going to get great video of drug bust. So, of course, the drug bust is in the hill somewhere. I don't know what. And it's a bunch of black men being dragged out with television cameras rolling. And I remember saying, hey, if they were going to do a drug bust in Upper St. Clair, first of all, you think we'd be invited? No.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And secondly, would we even want to go? I mean, it's like we are perfect. You can use these poor people.
Well, the vulnerability is universal in that they have no egress.
Yeah. Well, I have to say that this is where media absolutely fall down on the job and exacerbate a terrible problem.
Well, because the thing is, it's very interesting. I mean, this occurred to me I'm sure years and years ago because you were a professional journalist. But the fact of that when we say news in English, it means like stuff on television or on the radio. Whereas if you like in notizia or something in Italian, it's like news. I mean, not like, oh, the corn is not growing as high this year. That's not news. It's notoriety. And so, of course, when you add the racial thing like black, white, it makes it even more about So the news, I mean, hence, as we've said before, every storm is about to be the worst blizzard in the century. Every car wreck, every delay now coming up for the highway. Oh, gas prices are going forever, and you'll be delayed on the road, and 1,000 of you will be killed over. I mean,
it is because that's right. Up. This is where this is
journalism today.
This is not journalism. That's right. This is not, and we shouldn't watch it. It's just
because it hypes us up.
It makes you anxious, makes you angry, makes you fearful, makes you feel vulnerable.
And if you're sitting in a bar watching it when you're hooched up a little, that just exacerbates.
It's not the stuff we need to know. No, we need to know about things that are truly as a community that we need to know.
Well, right.
And local news is not covering that at all anymore because they know what national news is not either, because they now have just totally gone over to the dark side. The side that says this is not an informational program, this is an entertainment
ratings,
and they now can see what draws the crowds and how you keep the crowds. It's not covering what the crowds maybe should know. It's covering the crap that they sort of want to know.
Right, exactly. And all the people delivering the news are attractive.
Well, what else is new?
Well, no, but I mean, you put that in there, and you have this lovely person of whatever race speaking in California-ese, because no one speaks in regional accents on the news. Maybe some of the old newscasters when you first started. But nowadays, they all sound like they come from San Diego. And, it's just...
Anyway, don't watch the news. You will be shown a picture of your community, which is not accurate in any way, shape, or form.
We have to say it shows a slice of your community.
Some tiny little thing. I mean, I remember if I were to think that the Pittsburgh I saw on the news is the Pittsburgh I'm living in, I wouldn't leave the house.
and then you say, well, why are we on those lists of, most beautiful?
Right, I know. This is yes, the most livable city. Look at us.
Come here and
where you're
killed.
Murdered in your bed, where perfect strangers abduct you.
The hills are lovely.
I mean,
the hills are alive with the sound of gunshots.
Oh, God. Oh, that's it. I'm done. I know we're not.
Ich bin genug, as they would say in German.
And what's that mean?
Well, I've been done in. I've had it.
I've been done in. People, what do you want? Let's see. Sorry. Lynn, I don't get it about voters and polls. Like the caller said, unemployment's down. We've survived a recession. The stock market's going way, way up. We pulled out of old wars and not gotten into new ones. Kind of. What do people want? Honestly. We pride ourselves on not having a monarch, but why? Britain's had both a prime minister and a monarch for centuries, and I get the feeling that's what we need because something in Americans seems to desire the fairy tale.
Well, that's what I say. And the monarchs, like the king or queen, is always good. They don't make the bad decisions.
That's right.
That's the necessary.
Well, I think this is true, and this is one of the negatives of our form of government. That's the best explanation I can come up with for Reagan. He made a passably entertaining player from central casting, ideal for a king, but he was no prime minister. We Americans continue to imagine presidents as kings, when at their best they're supposed to be master bureaucrats. Peace, Bill.
Now I think we should have, in the last few minutes, we should have viewers listen or send emails. Who would you suggest should be our monarch if we're going to do that?
Well, like a monarch, I mean,
Sophie Masloff.
This is what the parliament, like the Brits have that we don't have. Yeah. And because we don't have a king, the job of president is an absurd job.
Well, or we have the flag.
Because they're asked to be... Yeah, we might have the flag. They have to do what a king would do.
No.
They have to do all the ceremonial stuff. They also have to be the head of their own political party, so they have to be the biggest politician in the country. They have to be the king or queen of the country.
Let me stop you for a second.
And then they have
the preponderance of nations in the world, both democracies and dictatorships. That's the case. I mean, if you would list the nations that have
prime ministers and presidents. Most countries have prime ministers.
Yes,
they do.
Yes, they do. But the point is, it's not like a queen and a prime minister.
But
the president doesn't play the role.
But he does all those ceremonial kinds of things, which our poor president has to do, and he's got so much more on his plate.
Well, I said again, first ladies, maybe.
And the commander in chief, and he's the head of the military, and he's the chief. His legislative agenda. And how is this guy supposed to do all this? It's ridiculous. And to ask that any person be capable of wearing all of these hats.
Well, I think that's how when they're very successful.
Because Obama's not a good king.
No. I think when they're very successful, one could look like, and I'm thinking of Eleanor Roosevelt. She, in a sense, was sort of like a queen in the sense of, she really stood out there sometimes for her issues.
Went out among the people.
Well, but also like when she had Marian Anderson sing on the mall because the DAR wouldn't allow her to do that. And she was no beauty. And she sometimes, would publicly disagree with Franklin. I don't mean because Mrs. Kennedy, all that, but that was more glitter. As in the case, I would put Mrs. Obama in the same category. But when they really stand out and do something, as opposed to just beautify America, as Lady Bird said. Although she wasn't too bad, really. But
well, I'll tell you, if Hillary wins, we're going to have a hell of a first husband.
That will be very interesting to see what he will do.
Well, he'll have to be very much part and parcel of what's going on.
Well, but he still has his foundation and all that.
That's right, but still, wow. We'll be getting a twofer. There's no doubt about it.
That's for sure, yeah.
Okay, Roger writes, news coverage of anti-immigrant people who are protesting and demonstrating reminds me of what I heard during Occupy Wall Street. Anti-war rallies, anti-pollution rallies, the constant rant of conservatives always yelling, "Don't these people have jobs?" Why don't I hear the same when these conservatives are demonstrating their ignorance?
No, but then the funny side of that, though, is but then the same people would say, they're taking the jobs that should go to real Americans.
Real Americans like me.
Well, but the point is, as statistics I've shown again and again and again for many years, the jobs of grape pickers and the like, no Americans want to take.
Exactly.
They're horrible and they
won't take them.
But they won't take them.
No, I'm talking. You have these farmers begging.
Yeah.
You see, in Georgia, they said that you had to be an American to be a farm worker or something.
Peaches or
and then all the farmers were marching on the state capitol saying, "Hey, do you want any produce this year?"
Right.
Because no Americans will do these jobs. No Americans.
Right. So you could say they're lazy. They'd rather take, welfare or unemployment than do jobs which are not good and not well paid and all that. But that's the sort of conundrum.
Yeah.
Don't they have jobs, but they're taking away our jobs?
Well, Margaret, I think, says it all.
What has Margaret said?
She just says,
Margaret,
what would Jesus do with these children?
Give them guns. Well, no, it's interesting. If you've read that book by called Zealot by that Palestinian guy, I'm like Reza.
No.
He talks about the fact of Jesus being, in the term zealot, which is not just used as we would probably use it today, like a religious zealot, someone who's just sort of freaky about religion, but someone who literally goes out into the streets and protests, and sometimes violently. It's an interesting book. And he makes the point of saying that Jesus, it's so interesting, what has happened with the aftermath of Jesus is that he was one of the least well-known zealots at the time in the area of Palestine and all that. The ones that really got the people going.
Well, listen, he had the best PR machine.
Well, that's true too.
The greatest marketing job ever done in the history of the world.
And they call them disciples. Yeah.
That's right. We would call them madmen.
Yeah, well, right.
No, really. They knew how to market. That was all it was. Greatest marketing effort ever, and it continues apace. All right. Well, I think that's sort of kind of it.
So have a happy 4th.
Have a happy 4th. Don't blow your fingers off or something like
with
that.
With a petard.
Yeah.
Which could mean, in modern day, it could mean, what do they call those things? Bombs? Cherry bombs?
Cherry bombs and stuff.
Don't eat too many hot dogs because they all have
nitrites
in them.
Oh, eat them. Eat them, eat them, eat them, and enjoy them. Eat them and enjoy them. And then make sure if you're grilling meat, you got lots of charcoaly stuff on them because that's got lots of carcinogens in it.
Yeah, right.
And you eat up all that food, which I'm going to do.
And then go to the doctor on Saturday.
No, that's right. I mean, come on. You got to live. And you got to die. Oh, my God. What a way to end.
She just gave you a tombstone saying.
Say something happy.
Say something happy?
Yeah.
God bless America.
God bless America. Shall we sing? We'll sing it out.
No, we're not going to sing it.
Land that I love, stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the ocean.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.